Find a way out of here. Let's just go.
What is it?
Let's leave.
What is it? What is it?
Get the hell out of here. Oh, down. We just need to find a way out. Let's leave. Just...
Such a...
Look, where's the fucking door?
Is
Is there a window or something?
So we are talking about the Australian movie, The Quarantine Hauntings. This one is directed by Bianca Bizzi and Arnold Perez and has 5 writing credits. Now this is a 2015 movie and it's a low budget haunting / possession film. And at the beginning of the film we basically told some backstories, and I don't know if this is actually true. It seemed like it might be, but there is this kind of this particular area in Australia that used to house people coming in from different countries, and they used to be quarantined in this particular kind of like facility, and this obviously was kind of rife with disease and such, and obviously a lot of people died there, and apparently, according to the film at least, it's one of the most haunted places in Australia. That bit seems to be true, I feel. And then we're told there's this particular legend of this kind of girl in pink who is this particular active ghost. Anyway, the actual movie focuses on this kind of group of young kind of like teens, you know, early adults basically, and they decide just for shits and giggles they're going to go to this particular kind of this museum in this quarantine place and actually recite this incantation which is meant to invoke the spirit of this kind of this particular kind of little girl dressed in pink, and of course it works, and they're menaced by her and seemingly a variety of spirits, and it seems to take particular interest in this one particular girl called Jasmine, who really kind of succumbs to the influence because she's so emotionally distraught over the death of her father around a year ago. So that's pretty much all I'll tell you with regards to the plot. You'll have to check out the movie. So let's talk about what I liked and what I didn't like about The Quarantine Hauntings. So we'll go with the positives first this time. So I feel the positives of this film, there are some quite imaginative makeup effects. They kind of seem to use this kind of, either it's digital effects where the faces kind of will glow and it looks like they're wearing phosphorus on their face. And I thought that was quite a fun effect. It kind of reminds me of how I used to imagine ghosts when I used to read ghost stories back when I was a kid and stuff like that. So you have these like really kind of glowing faces and stuff like that. So it kind of almost has like this neon effect. And I thought, though it does look a little bit sort of digital sometimes, it kind of looks quite fun. So I kind of quite like that. The other thing I would say is I quite like some of the interplay between certainly some of the younger cast members here. Basically, I think it's more or less kind of 2 families, and there's a kind of 2 older girls and 2 kind of younger guys, and they sort of seem to be friends and stuff. And the 2 kind of young guys I thought had quite a kind of natural banter with each other. I have to say that's probably because I'm feeling that they probably are mates in real life, so it came pretty easily. But nonetheless, I thought they kind of come across quite well. It might seem like I'm reaching here for some positives, and that's fair to say, because I have to say the negatives far outweigh the positives of this film, sadly. I think the fact that it's got 5 writing credits basically says to me that it's a little bit of a hodgepodge of ideas. So we'll go through the kind of some of the negatives here. First thing, the budget is really shows on the screen with this one. It's obviously a low budget film, and I try to kind of obviously judge a film based on, you know, what it can do with the budget that it has. But I feel this film tries to be kind of quite overt with the ghostly effects and the kind of stuff like that. Whilst I felt that it would have been a better idea if they kind of dialed it back a little bit and tried to go for more of a creepy factor, because unfortunately the effects look kind of bad. They kind of look like cheap video effects that you literally do on your video camera. So I wasn't a huge fan of the kind of the video effects here. I felt they would have been better, maybe just dialing it down a bit and try to sort of go on more of an atmospheric route. On the subject of that, there's really nothing scary in this film. This film is kind of very much a family-friendly horror film. There's not really any type of scene here that I found particularly scary, or even if I would say to someone who maybe doesn't even watch horror films, you'll find this film scary. I don't think they would. There's nothing really scary here. The acting is unfortunately pretty bad. Apart from the kind of few lines of dialogue that I've mentioned between those two characters, there's some real cheesy acting here. I also don't like some of the style of directing here. Sometimes they've switched to found footage for about 5 minutes within the film. Why? What was the decision? That doesn't make sense when you're having that kind of in a traditional narrative. And there's some kind of flashback things that have got obviously digital effects to try and make it look older. And again, it just doesn't really work. And then the resolution, shall we say, of how this is all resolved is just so just seems to be throw the book at it and kind of a very kind of hastily put together. So unfortunately, this film for me was a bit of a missed opportunity. I felt when I watched the beginning of this movie and we kind of see that we have this kind of dialogue and it's kind of telling you the premise of this, basically this quarantine. I thought, oh, wow, that's like a real good premise, isn't it? The guy who's doing the voiceover sounds really sincere. Like, man, ooh, this is going to be spooky. So the initial and then we kind of see the instructions of the characters and stuff like that, and it seems like it'll be quite good, but it kind of goes downhill pretty quick, I'm afraid. Once we start getting into the supernatural stuff, even if you look past some of the dodgy acting, it kind of goes downhill pretty fast, unfortunately, and never really kind of recovers. But overall, I didn't think it was a particularly successful horror movie, because it kind of failed on doing things where it went for trying to go for effects where they couldn't afford it, rather than kind of going for scares and creepiness and stuff like that. So I'm going to give this movie a 3 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.